Welcome to the Curator of the Culture, your weekly portal into the vibrant intersections of style, innovation, and culture. I'm Garrett, the curator and guide through this journey. From the latest sneakers to groundbreaking tech and car designs, we're here to explore it all. But before we dive in, let me share a bit about myself. I've been immersed in the world of design since the age of 6, sketching shoes and cars with a passion that only grew stronger over the years. I honed my skills through countless hours of design, eventually creating over 5,000 edited sneaker mock-ups, a journey that led me to an interview with Nike in 2017. Though they didn't offer me a spot on their team, I refused to be deterred. In 2020, I unveiled the Fear God 6, a bold fusion of the Air Jordan 6 Infrared and the Nike Fear God 1s. The design went viral online, eventually being made for Trinidad James by legendary shoemaker The Shoe Surgeon. But I didn't stop there. I continued to push boundaries, unleashing the world's first Bluetooth LED Nike Air Force 1s, a testament to my relentless pursuit of innovation and creativity. Join me each week as we uncover the stories, trends, and personalities shaping the landscape. This is the Curator of Culture. Hello, welcome to the Curator of the Culture. I'm your host, Garrett Peoples. Welcome. Let's get started. But before we start, I want to tell you guys about my new drinks, People's Beverages. We got 3 flavors: orange lemonade, honey lemonade, and lavender lemonade, all available now in 12-ounce and 16-ounce bottles. Hit me up on my socials or even in the comments here if you're interested in a bottle. We do ship. We've already shipped to California, Alabama, and soon we'll be shipping to Illinois. So tap in. You don't know what you're missing. It's getting hot out. Make sure you get some of these. Stay hydrated. Appreciate you. But now let's get started into episode 5. Episode 5. I don't know why the hell I did this, but my mind, you know what I mean? I'm already ready for episode 6 is what I'm trying to say. But let's get started. We got a lot to discuss. We started this episode a little later in the week. You know, Father's Day was this past Sunday. I had my kids, you know what I mean? So I didn't really have the time to shoot like I wanted to, but I definitely wanted to touch on a lot of stuff that happened this past week. So let's get started. We'll go through pretty much what we're going to be talking about today, and then we'll dive right in. First up, footwear news. There's a new Adidas AE1 low that surfaced that looks great. We got Cement 4s in 2025, and we got Goyard suing the surgeon. We're going to skip right to clothing. We got a Denim Tears Rhinestone collection, and we have Tremaine, who's the owner of Denim Tears, reacting to Lil Yachty and performing at Supreme's 30th anniversary. Next, we're going to be moving right into pop culture. We got a guy jumping over a drifting car, missing boy found safe, Goblia Tepe should be passed on to future generations. 2 high school teachers quit after offering foursome on school trip. Aliens might be living amongst us. Sacred room in Pompeii discovered. Mean ass baby. Can't wait to get to that one. Next, House passes defense bill automatically registering men 18 to 26. We got Jay-Z performing at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame induction, and Chris Brown pick with fan that's now going viral. We'll be jumping right into sports. We got record WNBA growth, and I just want to touch on Boston and Mavs finals really quick. Then in car news, the GTR is finally ending, and the Bentley GT continues. Moving on to tech news, we finally got a preview of iOS 18, and in science, we got a rare spotless giraffe born, and a new microscopic repair from Sony that I can't wait to talk about. Let's get started. First up, we got this AE low, and I haven't really touched on this shoe a lot just in general, But this Adidas shoe, I think, has been one of the most polarizing shoes, especially basketball shoes, to come out in probably the last 10 years, which is saying a lot because, there's new basketball shoes for most of the elite athletes every year, and most of them are pretty much lackluster. But this shoe, it's just like a dope design, and it definitely, you can see the inspiration from Yeezy in it. So there's that aspect of it. But outside of that, it's a good looking shoe. The price point isn't crazy, and the colorways have just been fire. So kudos to the designer, to AE, and how they pushed it and the amount of colorways that they pushed out. I was just thinking, I don't think there's been a signature shoe with this amount of impact, colorway wise, and then at least for me, style wise. I don't know, maybe since the 2010s, I was, you know what I mean? Literally well over a decade ago, when LeBron and, KD and everything was doing their run with Nike. There hasn't, you know what I mean? So, I still do want a pair of this shoe. Will I wear them? I'm definitely not going to buy them. If someone were to send me a pair, I would love, you know what I mean? I would absolutely love to have a pair because I think they are dope. And if I was able to get a pair, I would definitely wear them for sure at some point. So Adidas, AE, I know y'all ain't watching, but if you ever double back on this video, send your boy a pair of one of them. Preferably some lows, I guess. Just a dope pair of lows. Wishful thinking, you gotta try, you gotta ask, you know what I mean? I'm putting it out there in the universe. Next up, Cement 4s in 2025. This is probably going to be the 4th or 5th iteration of the Cement 4s dropping. At this point, I wanted to talk about what's going on. It's abundantly clear that there was a sneaker bubble that popped, and shoes haven't been selling the way they were in the past year, or they haven't in the past year been selling the way that they were. And so these companies are scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. And so that's why now we're getting all of these shoes that are instant sellers or instant bangers repetitively. They're not even trying. And you know what I mean? That's why I knew it would happen. The floodgates are now open where they're gonna try anything just to boost those sales numbers up back to where they were or where they should be, because they fell off tremendously. So they're basically, you know what I mean? They're gonna be dropping nothing but OGs, gems we haven't seen. They've already discussed retroing shoes past the 17s. I seen that recently. That, you know what I mean? They're gonna be going into the 18s, 19s, and so forth. And I was always wondering, why not? You know what I mean? They might not sell as well, but at this point, you can't keep selling the same stuff and then expecting people to keep buying it. And I guess I'm wrong, because that's exactly what they're doing and what they're continuing to do. And what I say, I see people excited every time they see this news, and it's just we just got them a couple years ago. You know what I mean? I have the cements from probably 2017, and they're still wearable. So why would I be excited for a new pair? And I understand that everyone didn't get the ones in 2017, but it's only, you know what I mean? I don't even know if it was 2017. I feel like it probably was, but I don't know. I think each shoe should they should be released only once every 10 years. That would really boost up the desire and the mystique of these shoes. They're dropping the flu games next year, I heard, and it's just we got those. You know what I mean? Within the last 8 years, why are we getting them again? And it leads to a bigger picture that's even bigger than footwear. There is a huge push and culture that I've noticed of pushing nostalgia. Everything is nostalgic. A lot of music that they want to push on us is nostalgic based. You know what I mean? They bringing back the hits from the 90s and the 2000s. You know what I mean? Fashion stuff's coming back from, you know what I mean? People have been trying to bring Ed Hardy back, Von Dutch back. I seen another brand, you know what I mean? But the early 2000s, like the Rockaware, all of that stuff, like they're trying to bring it back. And even, cars too, Broncos, you know what I mean? It's definitely, they're playing on the nostalgia a lot in culture. And it just makes me wonder, why are we so afraid of, or I don't want to say afraid, but why aren't we pushing towards the future? We keep looking backwards. And I think it's by design. There's a much bigger picture there that's bigger than probably this platform, or at least bigger than, I guess, what I'm trying to convey right now. And so, like, without going into like deep dives and rabbit holes, I just say that to say you guys, should look deeper into things. And I'll just keep it at that for now. Next, let's move on to clothing. Denim tears has pretty much been the hottest thing in the culture for about the last, I guess, 2 years now. And there was a new collection unveiled with rhinestones, and I had never really seen the prices of the original collection because I wasn't, really that interested in it. You know what I mean? I'm not really into fads, and it's clearly a fad. There is some meaning and some there is some substance behind it, but it's just not, you know what I mean? I don't want to be another person wearing it. And you know what I mean? And not that, I don't know, I wouldn't wear the whole outfit. You know what I mean? Like, wear the sweats or the top, but the whole outfit it's cringe. So this new collection, at least from what I've seen, it has a $200 sweatshirt, $400 zip-up hoodie, a $90 do-rag, and $350 sweats. And when I seen these prices, I'm just like, this is crazy. This essentially is a sweatsuit with rhinestones on like the center of the cotton reef motif. So it's not like it's fully covered in it's covered, but not entirely covered. And I was just, I don't know, like, sometimes just the value of things, I was just shocked to see that there was so many people flocking to a brand and to some garments that were so overpriced, just essentially overpriced, like blatantly overpriced, that I found it to be incredible. It's just another, a continuation of what he's been doing, Tremaine, that is. Which leads me into my next segment. He reacted to Lil Yachty and Cash Cobain. I'm not sure who that is. Obviously he's an artist performing at Supreme's 30th anniversary. Tremaine was the creative director for Supreme for like a year and a half. And I'm not even sure if he actually even did anything in terms of design. But he ended up stepping down, basically saying due to systematic racism, which was a huge statement and a huge thing to do. And so Tremaine basically is speaking out against Supreme and how they move. And while I find that commendable for who he is, there's an aspect of it where it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. And I just wanted to touch on it because you can't really, I don't know, in my personal opinion, want to stand and speak up for racism and inequality and in the spaces that you're in, and then you just recently marry a white woman, like the whitest of white women. It was a very confusing thing for me to see. Like I found out that he had got engaged, or he was marrying, someone, and then I see who it is, and I'm just like, oh, and like, granted, marry whoever you love, and and be happy, but there's a fine line of speaking on racist issues and systematic things, and then you go and marry the exact epitome of what you are against. And not saying that she's involved in race, anything racist or rhetoric or anything like that, but it is a little eye-opening to you're trying to uplift your people, and then they see you marrying what you're deeming to be the ops to an extent. That just leads, there's some confusion there for me, and I don't know how others feel. Anyone that's tapped in, let me know how you would feel about that, or how do you feel about that? Someone standing up for you, but then it seems like they're also in bed with what they're standing up against. I don't know. Let's move on. Pop culture. We got a lot of stuff going on in pop culture. First up, this is pretty brief, just something that I seen. Guy jumps over a drifting car. Let's just watch that quickly. It's super quick. Yeah, so basically, homie the shit right now. You know what I mean? What else? It was impressive. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You know what I mean? Kudos to him. I just wanted to show you guys that. Next up, missing boy found safe, releases a diss track targeting his grandmother. I found, this is a story that's just like, this is 2024, bro. Like, this young kid, releasing a diss track to your grandmother, like, it's nuts. It's just that, like, it's nuts, man. I ain't hear it. I didn't want to hear it. You know what I mean? How possibly good could it be, for a 12 or 13-year-old kid? It's just the fact that he did it, like, so he mad at her. I don't know why, because he got found or because he had to run away in the first place, but, I hope he figures it out, for sure, Next up, Goblik Tepe should be passed on to future generations. And so what this is when I found this out, it was extremely intriguing. This is the oldest known man-made structure, and it predates anything by thousands of years, including the pyramids. So the pyramids were, however many thousands of years ago. This structure is even thousands and thousands of more years older. So it is the oldest. It is basically man's first civilization that they found, and this basically is the start of the origin story for mankind. So it's been completely covered. You know what I mean? It needs to be excavated, much like anything else that's been buried over for thousands of years. And so there's this whole story going on about this, that this I forgot where the exact location is. I want to say it's in Turkey, but it was like in the hands of the Turkish, government. And long story short, it ended up being bought out by like a private equity firm. And so now this private equity firm owns it, and they stopped all excavation of this site. And this site, they said, was so large, it was like 60 football fields large. It might have been more. Like, it's a really, really large site. And so they stopped all excavation of it. And long story short, the people that own this that now own the site basically said they want to allow future generations the ability to be able to excavate the site. But the thing is that this private equity firm is so valuable that what generations will ever be able to either buy the site or to acquire the site. Like, so basically this firm now has complete control, and for the foreseeable future will not be allowing any excavations on this site. So what I'm saying is that they are trying to hinder any progress of knowing about our history as we know it, or before we knew it. So like I said, we know about Egyptians. We don't know about what happened before that. And so they don't want this information out, because if we learn about our true stories and origins, everything that we've been told so far is a lie, or at least isn't the complete truth. So you guys gotta pay attention. Just pay attention. Okay, next up, 2 high school teachers quit after offering foursome on a school trip to students. There's a lot to do. I don't know, man. Like, it's like there's two different sides of me. Like, man, as a high school student, to be able to mingle with a teacher would have been the craziest like flex ever. So I'm not sure why or how you would want to mess that up. You know what I mean? But in the same breath, as a parent now, if I had a kid in high school and their teacher was propositioning them for any kind of sexual behavior or acts, outside of them being 18, I would not be okay with it, for certain. So, where do you stand in that? I don't know, man. It's still kind of like half and half. Like, for a boy, for a boy, and granted, it's definitely different for a boy versus a girl. If my son were to get involved with a teacher, it wouldn't be okay at 16. It's just not at all. There's no way around that. Period. And it certainly wouldn't be okay for my daughter at 18. Or I'm sorry, at anything under 18. So it's wrong. And it's 2024, man. Like, you know, a lot of times we look at the men who do these type of things, but you know, there's women, you know, who have the same desires, and they just maybe don't get exposed as much because they're women, and it, you know what I mean? There isn't as much of a predatory thing to it. You know, stigma is what I'm trying. You know, there isn't so much a predatory stigma as much as there is with a man. But you know, it's wrong nonetheless, and it's crazy. You know what I mean? But apparently they stepped down after sending the one student. They sent them like lingerie, and then apparently asked him if another student would be interested in joining. So that's how the whole foursome came about. And like they showed two pictures of what I assume are teachers. I'm not sure if they're the actual teachers, because one looked a lot older than the other one, which was kind of like, you know, interesting in itself. So I'm just like, are these the right teachers, or you know what I mean, or how does that go? You know, but crazy nonetheless. Next up, we got aliens might be living amongst us disguised as humans or in a base inside the moon, according to Harvard. So Harvard University is an accredited college that, you know, most of us know and have heard about. And they are saying that aliens seem to be real, and that they can definitely be living on Earth or in the moon. That's another one of those deep dives or rabbit holes. But I'll say this: if an accredited school like Harvard is saying this, I think it's safe within reason to assume that there's some merit behind it. I've heard some stuff about the moon that was pretty interesting. One being that it's hollow. Another being that if you look at the craters on the moon, the whole entire moon, they're all the same depth, primarily, which is interesting. You know what I mean? Like, all the craters shouldn't be the same depth. You know what I mean? They should be different. You would think. Also, we can only see one side of the moon. We can't see like the back side of it or something. There was another point, but yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I also heard that the moon was potentially either a spacecraft or or it was hollow and there was some stuff going on. But there's been reports and images of all sorts of things that have been seen on the moon. Stairs that were stairs, like you can't. I mean, you know what I mean. You can't. They were stairs on a smooth circular planet. There have been, I believe, pyramids found on the moon. All sorts of huge structures. There's been craft seen spotted on the moon. There's been UFOs seen moving about the moon. So all in all, there's merit to it, and I think at some point we will eventually see more as time comes on. Like, things are getting interesting, and there's only a matter of time before life is just, we don't know what's going on. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Not without trying to sound like a damn conspiracy theorist or sounding crazy, I'll just say that you take it for what it is, but I think there's some merit to it a lot. Next up, there was a sacred room in Pompeii found with blue walls buried for 2,000 years. And it's, you know, incredible to see. Like, so I went and looked at some of the images that they showed, and from what I learned, blue paint was extremely expensive back then. You got to think, this is 2,000 years ago. You couldn't just go to Lowe's or Walmart and get a can. You had to figure out how to make it. You know what I mean? So they were probably taking some type of mineral and, you know what I mean, mix it in with paste and everything. So blue was an expensive color. So they were able to see the wall still painted, which, you know, a lot of these relics and stuff, they've been buried so long that the paint is, you know what I mean, pretty much worn off or tarnished off. So to see it is astounding and gives you more information as to how things were back then, or the detail, you know what I mean? It's kind of just like, as a reference, imagine, you know, I can't say imagine seeing a dinosaur. We don't know what they looked like from millions of years ago. We got ideas versus, you know, based on alligators and stuff, but imagine being able to see what the skin of an actual dinosaur looked like, the color and the texture, you know what I mean? Like, it would help tremendously with understanding and rewriting what we know. So, you know, it was just, that was, you know, incredible to see. I love history, and seeing stuff like that is just, you know, super, super cool to me. Next up, we got a mean ass baby. And the baby ain't mean, but he looked like he was not happy for what the fuck was going on. So just take a look at this. I thought it was the greatest shit ever. Isn't that great? Like, he just, yo, like, I don't know, he probably was mad at whoever the damn noises. Like, he's just looking like, yo, why are these people making noise? Actually, you know what I want to do? I want to commentate this video. I've always wanted to, like, commentate a video, and this might be the one I do it on. I don't know, like, I got an idea, but I just think this is, like, one of the greatest videos ever. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Next up, House passes defense bill automatically registering men 18 to 26. And this is pretty serious, pretty alarming. I don't think there's a lot to worry about just yet, because the military is so vast now that I don't think, you know, extra people are needed just yet. But it is a sign to see and understand that things are moving in a direction that ultimately aren't good, probably for anyone. So I've been learning that the world's economies are ran basically off of wars, and we haven't had a major war in the last decade or so, and so we're due for a major war just to keep the finances and the money flowing the way that it should. You know what I mean? This is the highest level of control from government and world leaders, all of that. This money, we start talking about trillions of dollars. You know what I mean? We're not talking about millions and billions. And you know what I mean? This stuff is being moved across, and this monopoly plan and strategy. And I think this is where we're headed. So this is why it's being passed. We don't know, what might happen in the future, where they might start needing to draft people. You know what I mean? And so this is in place now for when that might happen, when those measures might happen. The world's in a very interesting place, and it's only getting more interesting as we go. Yeah. Jay-Z performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame induction, and I seen the clip, and I thought it was interesting. There's people like, it looked like he was being ignored, like he's just on the stage performing. And for me, when I seen it, like, for one, the stage had a lot of fog on it, so you couldn't see anyone on the stage at all because the whole stage was covered with fog for a good 10 seconds. So Jay-Z's actually on the stage, like, performing, but you couldn't actually see him because of the amount of fog, or the fog machine, the amount of fog that was on the stage. And so, I do, like, when the fog finally cleared up and like Jay-Z appeared or emerged, I do think he got more attention, but overall it did seem like people weren't really paying too much attention. I found that odd, you know what I mean? And it was one of those things, like, Jay-Z doesn't really perform, he hasn't really performed anywhere too many times in the last few years. So to pull up at the Tom Brady joint and then to seemingly look like you're not even being appreciated, was interesting. You know what I mean? I guess I'll just leave it, like, just interesting. I'm sure he probably was paid handsomely for it, and or him just being part of the NFL like committee. I don't know. Maybe I doubt he's contractually obligated. You know what I mean? But I'm sure they paid him a pretty handsome coin to perform. So hey, I say, for whatever he probably made, it didn't matter who the hell was watching. I would have performed too. You know what I mean? So yeah. Last up, I wanted to talk about this Chris Brown pic with a fan. It went viral. I seen it all over, and I'm gonna put it on the screen. And so I wanted to say, firstly, that the fan is obviously gorgeous. Like, she's a beautiful, beautiful girl. You know what I mean? And my first thought was like, Chris Brown got paid to take this picture with her. So he the luckiest motherfucker on earth, because he got paid for that. Exactly $1,111, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that aspect of it. And then, I'm thinking just like, man, I don't know Chris Brown's dating situation, but someone as attractive as her, I would imagine it would be pretty easy for him to continue a relationship with her if he wanted to. So that's like point one. And so it comes out maybe a week or two later, the fan's fiance basically calls out the picture and the girl for taking the pic, and he basically explains that he bought the ticket for her as a gift, and he didn't know what the ticket came with, and he wasn't, and he was surprised to see the what he paid for as a gift. And I found it, I found the topic to be extremely interesting in a couple different ways. And I'll play devil's advocate. One aspect is, this is Chris Brown, who was a huge star, and your girlfriend who isn't famous, this might be her only opportunity to meet maybe her biggest, you know what I mean? She might be the biggest Chris Brown fan. So this might be her only opportunity. Or, to meet him. Or, let's be honest, all of us have that one famous person we say, if we ever met, you know what I mean, that's the one we would want to sleep with. Or, the hall pass kind of thing. So you got to keep in mind, she might be meeting her Michael Jackson right now. And so, granted, she is engaged. So we can't like excuse that. Engaged is engaged, and you are now committed to someone else. So that hall pass shit comes with a very fine line, because if you and your fiance haven't discussed you having that hall pass, even if being engaged or married, then you are now 100% engaging in some unlawful activities. So there's that. But then there's also like the fiance buying the ticket. How, like, granted, he might not be a fan of Chris Brown, so he might not know what the package comes with. So I'll shoot him some bail on that. But yeah, it's not the boyfriend's fault at all, outside of maybe not knowing what he was getting himself into and putting his girlfriend in, or his fiance in. But it ultimately was on the fiance as to her actions. And granted, a pic of you just holding, I can't. It's not the worst pic in the world, but as an engaged woman, you are in the arms and are being handled and managed in a way that is not becoming of someone with a fiance. And so basically it's extremely tasteless, I guess. And ultimately, I guess I'm asking, like, because I don't know, it would take a lot of thought for me to really just be like, where do I stand if my fiance did something like that? Do you call off the engagement based off of a picture or an action that was relatively harmless? Or do you chalk it up to her, like, you paying for an experience that you didn't know she was going to get? I think that's valid. I think that's the best way to sum it up right there. Where do you guys stand with that? Like, I gotta know. Personally, I may have done the meet and greet. Why not? But what she did was over the line. And if I don't know, bro. I don't know. Nah, yeah, that's a see. Y'all gotta help me because I don't know. I think I know. I know it's not okay, but y'all like, where do y'all stand? Some like help me. Just I want like as many people to speak on this as possible because you know what I mean? Like everyone wants a relationship, and a relationship is you with your partner, your main, you know what I mean? Like that's the person you're going to spend the most of your time with outside of your kids, outside of coworkers, you know what I mean? I want to know, where do you guys stand with it? Just please let me know. Next up, we're going to move on to sports quickly. Record WNBA growth, 400 visitors in May, which is, I'm not 400,000 visitors in May. Highest number since 1998. I'm pretty sure the WNBA started in 1996 to 98. I remember being a kid and it first starting out. And so, yeah, it hasn't seen growth in well over 20 years like this. And it did say that there was a 156% increase, which is amazing. You know what I mean? So I hope that we can continue. I hope that the trend continues. Because, why not? Next up, the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavs finals was some of the most boring basketball I've ever watched. And I'll say this, I don't watch a shit ton of basketball. I definitely, especially during the season, there's a million games. I had stuff going on, you know what I mean? People got stuff going on, whatever. But I always try to watch the finals, you know what I mean? See what's going on. And this finals was just, it was the weirdest matchup of like a really good team and a really bad team that shouldn't have been there. And like, yes, we know the Mavs were a great team during the season, but once they got to the finals, it was like they could have been the worst team in the NBA. They were making no shots and just they were dominated like in a real way. And it was just like, it was boring, like lackluster to me. I don't know. I hope that they continue to shake up the NBA. Like the whole like season thing where teams like you played one game and you were out was like crazy to me. But I don't know. This finals was just not it for me at all. Like, next up, we got the GTR ends finally. So this car has been on sale since 2009, and it is officially ending in 2024. What an amazingly long product run. This car has been legendary though. It has even being out since 2000 now, it's still competitive with cars today. So it's like still one of the best cars ever made by far. I just wanted to touch on that because like I remember, being young, right? Like I was in college at the time and like that car had came out, and to think that it's finally ending now is just incredible. Yeah. So there will be a new GTR. They've already previewed it. I don't think it'll be out before 2027. Probably at the earliest. But yeah. And a car that continues to be made is the Bentley GT, which came out in 2004 originally. And so the car has largely looked the same since 2004. Like the proportions have been the same. They are a little different, or I mean, granted, it's not the same car. They fully redesigned it in 2017, but even now, that car, you know what I mean, is still outdated. So, over 7 years. And so they just pretty much published a teaser of the new GT, and it's not new. It's the same old car or just a new face on it, more horsepower. It does say 771 horsepower, which is pretty awesome. But the car, it's old, man. Like, it's just old. You know what I mean? Like, they gotta replace that car. And it's not like I'm in the market yet, but if I was, I would not be buying one of them. Next up, we got tech news. iOS 18 has been previewed. It is our next iteration for any Apple fans, with Apple products. Yeah, and so it's basically just a revision of obviously iOS 17, but there are a lot of key differences, and being one, the major update is going to be AI, which Apple is calling Apple Intelligence instead of artificial intelligence. But basically, they're going to be putting AI wrapped up into iOS all over the place. And while I do think it will it'll be a useful tool, I also think that it's a bit much so far. Like, I don't know, man. It's just like, I mean, they've made it super robust in the fact that it can now do a lot of things, where I feel like they maybe should have eased into it a little bit more. Where like Siri, we've had Siri for what, I don't know, 8 years, maybe 6 to 8 years, probably longer, definitely closer to 8 years now, if not longer. And you know what I mean? Like, we're finally getting into the next step now, and it is going to be powered, or at least Apple bought ChatGPT, which is like one of the biggest AI free source companies that people use, and so now ChatGPT is going to be incorporated into iOS, and so it's giving you this layer of AI that is cool, but I'm not sure. I guess I need to really experience it and see how well it'll be implemented, and at least for my uses. You know what I mean? I have started to use ChatGPT quite a bit in my own personals, just trying to understand things, business, finance, any questions, you know what I mean? They give you a more in-depth response typically than Google would. So I do appreciate that. I think the standout feature for me, though, was being able to send a text with no self-service. And so, like before, I think it may be iOS 17, where you could actually make an emergency call with no service through satellites. You can now send a text through satellites with no cell service. And so that is that's game changing. Like, there's just in everyday life, there's times, just for me, especially, if you don't live in a huge metropolitan city, you might be in a dead zone where you don't have service, and to be able to send and receive a text and that, you know what I mean, could be obviously life changing or game, you know what I mean, game changing, life saving is what I'm trying to say. And so I'm just excited for that. I did hear that Apple was planning to charge to use the satellite coverage to like actually call to make a call. They were planning on charging, but as of to date, they hadn't started doing that. And I think part of it is they might think it's hard to charge people for a service that they aren't really going to use. And I think it might, I don't, they might not start charging until it starts to be used a lot more. You know what I mean? Like if there's a lot of people using it where they don't have cell service, that's when they would start charging. Like if cell towers are down because there's a world war, now we got satellites that we can still communicate. Now they can make money off of that. Maybe they're future-proofing cell coverage for future events. That just dawned on me. You guys, you gotta think. You gotta think, man. Just look at the bigger picture sometimes. I could be off, but I could be fucking on too. Lastly, a rare spotless giraffe has been born in a Tennessee zoo. Tennessee Zoo. That was almost a tongue twister. I'm sure it is if you say it enough. But this is the first one in the world, so this is super special. I want to see it. No diddy. But yeah, you know what I mean? The amount of people love giraffes and baby giraffes and all of that. So to be the only one in the world, that's pretty special. And I do hope to see it at some point. It would just be awesome. And I know I said lastly, but this is the last thing. Sony is previewing a new microscopic surgery repair on a corn kernel. So you see in this video, I gotta show it. I will show it just because it's that impressive. But they're actually performing surgery on a single corn kernel. So you can see it slicing, and then it moves on to actually stitching up the skin of a corn kernel. And while that is like astonishingly awesome, it just shows you what technology and science is capable of. And they say that this new feat will be great on like blood vessels, you know what I mean, small things like that, which, yeah, it's just another step forward. So this is a technology, you know what I mean, and then there's technology moving forward, yet, they want to keep pushing old, old stuff. It's just, they want us confused. And it is confusing because we got this, and then we got stuff that they don't want us to see in the past, and then they're bringing up stuff from the past that they want us to stay on. You got to think for yourselves, man, and figure it out, and figure out what information you see, you deem important, and what isn't, and move based off of that. Because I think the further we go, the worse things are getting, and it's showing that they want us confused, unorganized, and undisciplined, unhealthy. unwealthy, if that's a word. They just want they want us controlled as the masses. They want us controlled. There's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of information that they cover up. So, make conscious thoughts, conscious decisions, and chime in. If you stayed this long, you enjoyed it. No diddy. Make sure you like, subscribe. Please leave a comment on some of the things that we touched on. Definitely the Chris Brown fan interaction. I'm really interested on that one. What did you find interesting on this episode? What can we touch on? What do you want to hear about next episode? I thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Again, this is progress. We're learning. We're trying to get better as we go. Please stay tuned for more. Check out People's Beverages. If you're interested, grab a bottle, grab a few. We got new flavors coming. We got new merch coming. Working on new stuff as we speak. Just trying to hit the ground running. Thank you for the support. I'm Garrett. Peace.